with a practice like this and no preseason games, you're going to try to have to find opportunities to simulate as much as you can a game day situation. How would you assess how the Saints handled that running through what they did today?
I think Sean Payton did the best he could to try to put them through everything they're going to face during a game. They stopped at one point and went back to the locker room, and he was calling penalties and just trying to put them in different spots that they might face throughout the season. And there's a surprise onside kick that Marquez Callaway unfortunately was unable to recover, and just different things that some of these players maybe haven't seen throughout training camp. He was trying to put them into the fire a little bit, and you weren't getting that without preseason games, so they had to try to get it some way, and they covered a lot of ground today. I don't know if you're going to be as ready as you can be without that actual action, but this is about the best they can do with the circumstances that are playing out right now.
I was looking, Cesar Ruiz did not participate today, and he's missed a couple of practices here. Does that almost signal that we're going to see him probably start at left guard and not necessarily center when week one hit, just because of the days he's kind of missing right now? And as a rookie, you don't want to miss these days, especially when you haven't had OTAs, minicamp, preseason games to get acclimated to what you have to be doing at that position.
I have your thought on that it might be hard to see Ruiz at center given that he hasn't gotten the reps there. But last week when Dan Rochar talked, he said that they've looked better with Ruiz at center than at guard. And with him not getting these snaps, if Drew's handling all the calls, all the protection and everything, maybe you can ease him in there and he just does what's natural to him and snap the ball and block, and you take some of that mental stuff off of him. Whereas at guard, in a stadium where they're playing crowd noise now a little bit, there might have to be some, silent snap for that. And that puts some responsibility on the guard, and you take that off him. There might be a way that playing center is a little bit easier for him. Now, there was all the talk about the cadence and everything. If he has that down and it wasn't an issue the few practices he was in there, maybe he can play center. For me, looking at it, off of everything we heard all summer, all offseason about that transition, I thought it was done. I thought the idea of him playing center was over, but maybe it isn't.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how when that lineup comes out in 10 days, where they're at when they're taking on the Bucs. Marcus Davenport back, and when he's missing a couple of days just because when he's dealing with maybe it's just a nagging injury, but this is going to be a very important season for him, especially because I think we want to, when you give up that many assets to go up and get him where he was taken, you're expecting a lot of production from what you put in for him. Do you feel like it's a make or break year for him? And do you feel like he knows that and understands that he's ready to live up to that this year?
I feel like he's taking good steps, actually. The injuries have been frustrating. He's missed some time. But when he's out there, he gets a lot of pressures. He had a good amount of sacks. Now, with him, a lot of stuff comes in clusters, so there's games where he's getting a lot of volume and then maybe a couple games where he isn't. But I think if he played a 16-game season, he's a guy that could easily get 10 sacks. I think we've seen the mental stuff come into play with his physical ability and kind of mesh. And last year before he got hurt, I thought he was playing really, really well. And I thought before he got hurt this camp that he was playing well. Now that's the issue. He's hurt, and that's always a story. At least this time the injury's an elbow and not on one of his legs, which is where all the injuries have been. So maybe that's, I don't know, a little bit of a silver lining, but he needs to avoid that stuff and stay on the field. I don't know if make or break's the term I would use with him, but he is at a point where you feel like everything needs to come together and he should start cashing in. And if he doesn't want to be labeled as, 2 first for the rest of his career, that needs to happen sooner than later.
I think we've talked about the Saints secondary throughout camp, but it is good to see Malcolm Jenkins back in there. And are you concerned, or is there any concern on his side going into week one, or is it just one of these, you get banged up in camp and you're back in, or is there a little bit concern, or should there be concern with Malcolm's health going into week one?
I think he'll probably be okay, but even if he wasn't, I think the Saints are actually deep enough at safety that you could get by a couple games and probably not miss him too much. PJ Williams has been one of the stars of camp, and that's playing at safety, so I think he could fill in there. DJ Swearinger has been pretty good, but Malcolm was out there. He was moving around today. He gave up a deep pass to Deontay Harris, which isn't a huge deal, but he's going to work his way back in. He'll get his legs back underneath him. I think he did have a leg injury, so you're maybe seeing a little bit of the effects of that, but he's going to get on the other side of it, I think, and I think he's going to be a good player for the team. Nothing significant. He's out there now. He's got a whole 10 days to get ready for the season. So I think he should be good to go by the time they play the Bucs.